It was a terrible day for Senzo Mchunu in Parliament. At the same time, we heard some further explosive revelations from Witness A at the Madlanga Commission. What does it all mean? What's its importance? Stick around and let's work through it together. Spread the fire, fam. Welcome back to SMWX. I'm Mpofu-Walsh. This is the Mpofu-Walsh experience. Two big things happened today. We had Senzo Mchunu fielding questions from MPs in Parliament, and we had Witness A continuing his shocking and terrifying testimony in the Madlanga Commission. Let me take you to Parliament. Here's Julius Malema asking Senzo Mchunu some questions to give you a feel for a terrible day for the minister.
Should have the recording. The minister does not have a recording. He told us he's got a recording and he wants us to play. That's number one. Number two, he wanted us to listen to something he never listened to himself because it's not there. And that's what you should be asking the minister. Not that where we are now, we don't have a recording. That recording doesn't exist. Let's agree there that there was no such a recording where Mkhwanazi was threatening the minister. And that's why I was interested that he must bring that thing here because we want to hear for real if minister was threatened. Minister comes, that thing is not here, and then we speak in different languages. We must put it on record that the minister doesn't have that recording and therefore that recording doesn't exist.
You are absolutely correct, Honorable Member. And that is how we are proceeding. That is understood, Honorable Minister. We are proceeding from that premise that the evidence that you promised has not been presented before the Ad Hoc Committee.
Again, yes, I've said so.
Thank you so much.
So that was just a taste, but it wasn't a great day for the minister, apart from this recording question, because remember last week he said he was going to bring this recording that he said showed Mkhwanazi threatening, and he couldn't find the recordings. We just had so much that we needed answers for today, and we just didn't get those answers. Shout out to everyone in the comments, by the way. I see you, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Now, we had a number of interesting revelations. First, the evidence leader was leading the minister, and we discovered the minister has known Brown Mokgotsi since 2017. I wish someone had asked him, how did you meet him in 2017? But neither the evidence leader nor Glynis Breitenbach, who was nearly about to do that, got that answer, because it would have been key to know, was it around the 2017 election campaign? How did they meet? We never got a full answer to that question from the minister. He managed to dodge that. Now, the minister also categorically once again denied, and this was the first in a series of apparently contradictory moments, that he had ever communicated with Kat Matlala either directly or indirectly. But then we learned that he had asked his lawyers to speak to Kat Matlala's lawyers to get an affidavit from Kat Matlala. So he did speak to him indirectly to get an affidavit. So which is it? He's never spoken to him directly or indirectly on any issue ever at all? Or he sent his lawyers indirectly to speak to Kat Matlala's lawyers indirectly to get an affidavit from Kat Matlala. Direct contradiction. Mokgotsi sent WhatsApps to Matlala, and effectively Mchunu basically said he was not involved. He doesn't know why Mokgotsi was doing this. He was acting on his own and not at the instigation of the minister. So we got a denial there, and we don't have the full evidence to link Mokgotsi to Mchunu, but God forbid anything further comes out, because the minister has categorically denied any wrongdoing in terms of communications with Mokgotsi, communications with Matlala. So if one little piece of evidence comes out to contradict, then the minister will be in trouble. But right now, we still need that evidence. The minister has denied. But we do know that the minister has Brown Mokgotsi's number. So what is this distinction that he seeks to draw between a comrade and an associate? Because he said he's just a comrade of mine, we share the same political party, but he's not a close associate. But he has my number and I have his number. And furthermore, we communicate via WhatsApp. We even heard from the minister that he has spoken to Mkhwanazi over the phone. We even heard that they have Signal chats. And as Glynis Breitenbach correctly asked, Signal would seem to be a place where you want to share information with people without it ever going into the public domain. So why were you sharing signals with Brown Mkhwanazi, who you don't know? He's just a member of your political party, or he's not an associate of yours. I think much is being made by the minister of this term associate, when the fact of the matter is it's becoming clear that he has had some kind of relationship with Brown Mkhwanazi that goes beyond a mere knowledge of the person and into regular communication. That doesn't mean Brown Mkhwanazi is his identical twin who he's known forever and he will never disapprove of. But it also doesn't mean that Brown Mkhwanazi is a stranger to the minister. So I feel like that has been confirmed by the fact that we know he's known him since 2017. He has his number. They've communicated regularly and even on platforms like Signal. So even though we don't have direct communication linking the minister to Matlala or to KT Molefe at this point, or to criminal syndicates directly, we do know that as Brown Mkhwanazi was the intermediary, purportedly, between these syndicates and politics, we know that the minister has had communication with Mkhwanazi. So there was that. I mean, no MP asked about the message that was sent between Mkhwanazi and Mkhwanazi sent to Mchunu, to which he didn't reply, about the guy of the funding, i.e. Kat Matlala, losing his contract. So that was disappointing, because that's a key piece of evidence that I would have wanted Mchunu's response on. So there was that. There was another contradiction which emerged, which I wanted to speak about, because the minister was asked about January 8th. And there's this allegation that Brown Mkhwanazi was getting money from Kat Matlala so that he could get delegates to the ANC's January 8th dinner on behalf of the minister. And the minister came out and said, I categorically deny this. And he actually produced records of his diary. So now we know that the minister has records of his diary. But remember last week, he said he doesn't know when he briefed the president. It was either January or February. Well, where are the diary records for that briefing? So either he has records for his diary, or he only has records when it's useful, but when we need a date, the records aren't available for the committee. So that I found curious as well. And then, of course, we had the big debate about Kat Matlala's affidavit. Like I said before, the minister conceded that he asked his lawyers to ask Kat Matlala's lawyers that Kat Matlala produce an affidavit saying, I have never met and don't know the minister and I disown the minister. But that just became strange, because MPs were like, well, how did you get through to Kat Matlala in like maximum security prison? And like, wasn't Kat Matlala like a little busy? Like, how did he end up writing this affidavit to support you? So it just ended up looking as if the minister had a route to Kat Matlala, when a denial would have been more effective than trying to get someone who doesn't have the credibility at this moment to attest to the fact that he doesn't know the minister. So that was quite strange. And like I say, the minister says there were lots of discrepancies in Mkhwanazi's account. I am afraid to say that I found a lot of discrepancies in the minister's account. I've spoken in previous videos about his case for disbanding the PKTT. But I'm not convinced yet that there's a solid reason or answer for why it happened on the 31st of December so quickly. And the reason that my misgivings are beginning to grow is because when we take a look at the Matlanga Commission, which is still happening, streaming on SMWX, make sure you watch the streams there to support independent media. There is a picture that's also emerging in parallel to all of this. And what we've got to try and do, and what we're helping you do on this channel, is connect what's happening in Parliament with what's happening at the Commission. Because a distinct picture is emerging as Witness A, who's an organized crime investigator whose identity is concealed for safety reasons, but who led the operation to arrest KT Molefe, one of the big five, according to Kumalo, a big potential alleged criminal kingpin. He led the arrest of this person, KT Molefe. And what we are seeing is that a lot of information started coming out in the build-up to the 6th of December when Molefe was arrested, but also before that. So key individuals within the police were doing this investigation that was just leading from a murder to a kingpin, and from a kingpin potentially to generals, and from generals potentially to politicians. And we're starting to really get the evidence for this. You know, a few weeks ago, people were saying, where's the evidence? They're not saying that anymore, because painstaking evidence, video evidence from multiple angles is coming out. Painstaking communications evidence is coming out from experienced police investigators to show that something strange was going on. And really, the reason this all matters is that it's possible, at least that's all we can say for now, that as politicians started clocking that their dirty laundry was being uncovered by the police, they took a decision to disband this political killings task team because it was becoming a headache that was getting too close to the secrets that they were trying to keep. Why do I say it's becoming worryingly apparent? Because Witness A, and go back to my video of yesterday if you want to get context for his testimony, but he continued today. Yesterday we spoke about the Armand Swart murder. Today he took us straight into the scene of yet another movie, or let's call it episode 2 of this series. Episode 2 starts with a police team arriving at a mansion in Sandhurst. Side note, yay, what's going on in Sandhurst, people? Morgan Maumela's in Sandhurst. Katiso Molefe is in Sandhurst. The president is in Sandhurst. Who else is in Sandhurst? Anyway, so this police team arrives at this opulent mansion where there are 7 luxury cars in Sandhurst. They are there to arrest Katiso Molefe, who they believe is responsible for the murder of a whistleblower in a corruption-linked hit. Now, initially there's resistance at the gate, but eventually this team, which is led by Witness A, makes its way in. They arrest 2 people at the gate. One is a bodyguard carrying a massive rifle and also carrying a pistol. The other, they don't know at the time, is Katiso Molefe, one of the most important characters in this entire Mkhwanazi saga, allegedly someone involved in serious organized crime. And according to the boss of crime intelligence, someone who is a key member of a criminal syndicate that is influencing government. So they arrest them. This is big news. You know, we talk about service delivery, we talk about the police not doing their work. This time the police actually got someone. After they arrested Katiso Molefe, they started going into the house. They, according to Witness A, got consent to search and seize gadgets, laptops, even CCTV footage of the house. So they would be able to know who was going in, who was going out. Woo, I would like to see that CCTV footage. Who was going in and out of this house? We know, for example, that one senior politician in Joburg, Kenny Kunene, was found inside that house when Molefe was arrested the second time. Who else was going in and out of that house? Are there people who've been in that house multiple times who haven't told us they've been in there multiple times? So, anyway, the CCTV footage. This is all going well, people. The police are making progress on an arrest for someone who's deeply linked, at least we know, to this murder. The murder vehicle left this house the day before, the night before the murder happened. And we know that there were communications between Molefe and the people who carried it out. But guess what? In the middle of this investigation, where all of this evidence that can unlock the key to what's really happening in South Africa was being procured, jiggy. Suddenly, the Hawks arrive at the house, seemingly to disrupt an already ongoing police investigation. People arrive at the house to say, what's going on here? Firstly, how did the Hawks get there? Who told them to go there? And why are the police disrupting another police investigation? So the Hawks get there. Get this. At some point, there was a helicopter which was sent to fly overhead to keep tabs on this house from the Hawks. And now Witness A, who's leading this investigation, is like, I'm trying to get some evidence here in a serious murder case. And my own police people are now stopping me from getting the evidence. What's going on? And at some point he even said he was starting to fear for his own safety. Apparently they were confronted. So, I mean, just let's take a step back. Who are these powerful people that live in these mansions with these multiple cars who have the capacity, when the police come to investigate and search and seize their stuff, they call other police to stop the police from doing it and send helicopters to come and fly overhead and make sure that this thing stops? What's going on here? What's going on here? Anyway, Molefe is eventually apprehended and he's taken to the nearest police station where he awaits. No, not the nearest police station. He's actually taken to Pretoria Central, I believe, where he's then awaiting trial. Now, apparently Molefe is very angry that he's being held in Pretoria Central because normal practice is to hold someone in a nearby police station. But the fact of the matter is that Molefe isn't a normal person. This is a serious apprehension. This is a serious case linked to serious things. So it's perfectly understandable why he was taken to Pretoria before his trial, or at least before he appeared on bail. And this is where the story gets even more twisted, because Molefe applies for bail and he doesn't get it in the magistrate's court, but he appeals and goes to the High Court. And guess what? Witness A is then told, remember, this is the person who led the arrest. He's tipped off that Molefe is going to get bail tomorrow. Remember, this is the second time he's been tipped off about someone getting bail and they got bail. And guess what? Kadiso Molefe got bail. Despite the fact that he had a previous conviction in another country and he had traveled on a fake passport to that country, the UK. Now, this was 20 years ago, but still, you're being apprehended for conspiracy to commit murder and the court knows that you have fled the country on a fake passport before. You've actually been apprehended in another country and yet you get bail despite this Schedule 6 offense. Look, it's just a dicey decision, quite frankly. But it's even more dicey when a police investigator gets told the day before he's going to get bail. Now, the judge in this case, according to Witness A, the bail appeal was Aubrey Letwaba, who's the deputy judge president of the Gauteng division. Someone over whom there have been complaints before, but also there are reports of a very diligent jurist. So it's a bit of a shock. I mean, he has been involved in very charged political cases. I believe he was involved, for example, in the sealing of the CR17 bank statements case, if I'm not mistaken. But effectively, today we got allegations against him from Witness A, basically saying there was some skullduggery. Or at least Witness A says it was a tremendous coincidence that he was told that Molefe was going to get bail and he got bail. Look, I guess there are only two options. You're either going to get bail or you're not going to get bail. So I suppose there was a 50-50 chance if the person calling him, tipping him off, was guessing. But they were right. Look, at this point, again, I would stress that we're dealing with allegations and we need the evidence to continue to unfold for us to come to firm and sound conclusions. But it would seem exasperatingly strange, to be honest, that Kadiso Molefe would have failed to get bail in the magistrate's court, then appealed to the High Court, then got bail once, and then got rearrested again on a whole different charge, failed to get bail, and then again got bail in the High Court recently, which you all heard. So, of course, these things are making their way through the criminal justice system, and I suppose there are ways to challenge or review these decisions within the system, but we're just getting a lot of different messages coming from the allegations from these witnesses. But I'm sure we know that the magistrate in one of these cases has already been called. Presumably, all sides will get a hearing, and we should only make our minds up then. But the allegations are very concerning already in terms of the judicial system, because these are now starting to come out from Witness A. We also heard a few things about Kat Matlala. We got this interesting diversion before we went back to Katiso Molefe, that Molefe got a call with this general, one of his superiors, a General Shibiri, who we spoke quite a bit about yesterday. And during the call, Shibiri told him that Molefe was part of a group of 5 people who were interested in mining in the Northwest Province. And one of those people, according to Shibiri, belonged to some group. And Shibiri mentioned another man, a tall Zulu man, known only as Z. And Molefe was somehow connected to this person. Remember, he's talking to Witness A over the phone saying, hey, you know this person you just arrested, and this is how serious they are. Shibiri then says this Z person is a close friend of what appears to have been said as Julius Malema. And Malema is in turn close to General Sibiya. So Shibiri, apparently on the phone to Witness A, is trying to draw this chain saying that there's Molefe. Molefe is connected to this Z person. This Z person is connected to Malema. Malema is connected to Sibiya. And that was the end of that little piece of evidence. Now, exactly the significance of that, we don't know. But again, we keep getting these links of these forces trying to work with politicians. The links aren't very clear, but there are groupings, there are business interests, there are these criminal interests. And Witness A's testimony is starting to lead in those directions. Now, obviously, again, all the people implicated by that little piece of information will have their own version and explanations. Right now, a lot of it is hearsay, because we're getting Witness A saying that this other person told him that he heard that. So the evidence is not watertight by any means yet. But again, it's all pointing in a certain direction of there's a very serious criminal syndicate that's working to try and influence high-ranking people in politics and in criminal justice. And then we came back to Katiso Molefe as the evidence unfolded. And that's when we got the bail story that I just rendered. Before we move, I just want to give a shout out to Witness A, man. I mean, this person has denied bribes. They have faced huge resistance. And they have faced threats to their own life where they had to leave their family and go to safe houses. And sometimes we think this thing isn't real life, but I want you to take a look at a moment where Witness A revealed how much this has affected them, just so you can see what they've gone through to get to the point where they're sharing this with the public.
I have met the families of the victims, and and when I speak to them, they are grateful for the work that we are doing as a team, even those families where arrests have not yet been made. They appreciate that someone is working on the case to bring justice for their loved ones. The satisfaction of knowing that I am working I am making a difference.
Witness A, are you okay? The witness is asking for a minute, Chair.
Lt Gen, you let us know.
It's just a reminder that the people who have managed to get this information to us have gone through so much. And the information may not be perfect. We may still have a lot to learn, but it's becoming apparently clear that there's some very brave people who have taken huge risks for the public to learn what it has learned. And I know these videos go into all kinds of places, but if this ever reaches Witness A, let him know that there are people who are deeply appreciative of his sacrifices and all that he's gone through to help the public learn how deep this rot goes and how important it is that we now know what we need to do as a society to rescue ourselves from this crisis. So I just want to give a shout out to Witness A and also the two advocates, Advocate Lee Siegels Ncube and her colleague, who really have led this evidence in an exemplary way, in such a way that we've been able to follow the story and they've been able to present to the country just how these arrests and these murders are linked to the broader picture. And over the last 2 days at the Commission, we have learned so much. So although there is so much to be terrified about, there are also people who are standing up and exemplifying what is best about our country. And that gives us hope. So fam, I hope you're enjoying these breakdowns. We are really committed to giving you the information you need to be an effective citizen and to understand what's going on. Because I know people at work, I know people have kids and all kinds of things, and you can't always watch everything that's happening, but you can always come here and we can keep you up to date and up to speed. And there've been some funny comments about this becoming the new unofficial national broadcaster where we all come to learn what's going on for the day, and I truly appreciate that. That's what we always hoped this channel would become. So fam, like, share, subscribe, buy an SMWX hoodie at smwx.store, like this and give us a rating on podcast platforms where you can listen on the go, and make sure you keep it locked on SMWX. Quick announcement, tomorrow I drop an interview with Lukona Mnguni where we pass all that is happening in our country. You really want to watch that, and there's some great interviews coming throughout the week. But keep it locked on SMWX. We'll keep you updated with analysis and interviews as we move. Have a good night, everyone. See you on the next one. Aye.